This segment, we're going to talk about the Paññā that we use to see Dhamma. Earlier on is the mundane. It starts off with a mundane Paññā that allows you to pick the right path, the right teacher, the right school, the right doctrine. Then comes having a slightly more developed wisdom that tells you that you need to practice the path properly, that you understand why you want to observe morality, you understand how to observe morality practices, you start to see the correlation between morality practice and your daily life. You actually got to start seeing that. See, every time you want to lose your temper, you say, no, it's okay. It's okay, let it go. Every time you manage to do that, you say, hey, I'm doing well today. Pat a bit. Must pat yourself, okay? Don't worry about the ego. It's there anyway. So you're going to pat it a bit. Because when you do right, you need to, it's like giving stars lah. But it's yourself wearing stars lah. Give yourself stars, okay? For some of us, we can't afford so much weight adding lah. Stars cheaper, imaginary ones. But ultimately, we are interested in the Paññā, that mental state, the so-called factor of the path that enables you to see Dhamma. That's the one that we want. We want to ask ourselves how to develop that. Buddha gave some advice on how to develop that. And what exactly does it do? The part about how to develop is easy to explain because they're all in the suttas. The one, exactly what it does is a lot trickier. I will try, okay? But bear with me when it sounds like going nowhere. Okay, as you do your meditation, because if you have that wisdom, you will know that apart from morality practices, you also have to do your meditation. You need to put time aside to sit and do concentration meditation, as well as be mindful in daily life and in meditation. The reason is because your mind, and I've said this again and again, has to go quiet. It has to reach a certain state where there are not many arising of thoughts. Not so many arising of thoughts. It has to be objective. It has to be light. The mind itself is light. It's effortless, effortlessly aware. Effortlessly aware and in the moment. Someone mentioned to me about the state of mind which can see itself, seeing. It is like that, it is correct. But this is only a state of mind. In this particular state of mind, if it is effortless, meaning to say your concentration and your mindfulness is try one, it just stays there. If it's effortless, you may start to observe that when there is the arising of feelings, you caught it right at the arising. When there is an arising of a mind being distracted by an object, you will catch it. It's that sharp. It's that sharp. You have to develop it to that level of sharpness. Why? Because right at the end of this practice, you have to have a sharpness that look inwards, not look outwards. Subsequent weeks, I will explain the difference and so on. But right now, I'm just explaining Paññā. Paññā enables you to recognize that state.
But when captured, how?
Capture?
Yeah.
When you're mindful, right? When the mind is very clear, very quiet, very aware of the moment, that particular state of mind that can see Dhamma, that particular state You may or may not realize that it's there. Honestly, you may or may not realize that it's even there. You are there. You are aware of awareness, but you have no idea that this is what you need to see Dhamma. So it will come and it will go. Lor. The state arises, the state fades away. It will come and it will go. You can sit, your concentration is very good, the mind becomes very sharp, it's in the state of the moment. The mind is in the state of the moment. But if you have no paññā, if you have no wisdom, you don't realize the moment. You don't realize when your mind has become so sharp, it is aware. So paññā, that wisdom, enables you to recognize this particular state of mind. Paññā, that wisdom, allows you to use this state of mind to know what Dhamma to look out for. And paññā, when the Dhamma concepts, the Dhamma knowledge start to surface, it is paññā that will spot it and understand what it is about and navigate through these awareness, these understanding. Do you understand what I'm saying? Excellent. Jackpot. Got lah. Some. Behind you got.
When capture the arising, then how to deal with the arising? When capture the arising, then how to deal with the arising?
When you capture arising, don't deal with arising. Watch arising and watch it fade away. That's why the Buddha, in explaining wisdom, he always used these words. He is wise. The Sekha Sutta, he is wise. He possesses a wisdom regarding rise and disappearance that is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete destruction of dukkha. Meaning, he notes when a sensation of the mind, a mental state of the mind, he notes it arising and he notes it fade away. That's all. He does not handle arising. He just note quietly. Patience. Note it arise, note it fade away. That's all. Paññā allows you to recognize the state of mind that is quiet and realizes. Paññā is the one that allows you to realize that this is the state you need. And then you keep quiet and just watch your mind. Just watch it. And paññā enables you to, in watching this mind, start to spot the phenomenal arising of sensation, fading away of sensation. Paññā recognizes it. This Paññā will say, this is anicca, impermanence. Paññā will say, this is what Buddha says, arising and falling away. Paññā recognizes it. And Paññā will be the one that says, Buddha says, no craving, don't hold. Don't hold. So Paññā tells you in your meditation or in your watching, don't cling. Paññā tells you what to do.
But the paññā tells you what to do, is that construction?
No, it is not. Paññā knows that it is not construction. That's why the paññā is so difficult, you see. It is a mind by itself that can recognize, see itself, know what's going on, understand this is Dhamma, realizes this is what has to be done. So the ultimate of the paññā as it develops, right, as the paññā develops, is all the steps. See what's there, understand what's there, know why it's there, know what has to be done, know when it is done.
Somehow it's like a very spiritually matured mind kind of thing.
Ultimately, that's paññā. That's why ultimately you need this particular paññā to take you all the way to the end. Remember this train, right? At the highest level, paññā is the driver. Paññā adjusts the aircon. Paññā makes the announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we're arriving at the next station. Paññā is the one that says, it's finished, get out. So paññā, that's the importance of knowing paññā. Paññā has to be known for itself. I'm not creating any of these things. Okay, the Paññā. That's why Paññā is it's almost like it is a means to the end. It is the end in itself.
And Paññā also need to recognize what is Paññā.
Exactly. So Paññā is the one that knows when there is thought construction, and Paññā is the one that knows this is not thought construction, this is awareness.
Can I say thought construction are also boxing? It's never close to the...
Thought construction is nowhere it's not in the practice. So the first thing one has to be able to do is to stop the thinking, to stop the habit of thinking.
Using the Paññā to replace the thought construction.
It's not using it to replace it per se. It is knowing the difference, recognizing the difference. When you recognize the difference, first, you've got to recognize the difference. This is a mind that is quiet, empty, no arising, not thinking. This is a mind that is caught up in its own thought processes. You are not even aware there is thinking. A thought construction, even when you are aware, there are two types of thought construction, which is both wrong. One is you're caught up with the thought, and you're running away with the thoughts, and you're no longer objective, you are the thinking process. You run off. There's a mundane world. There is a second type where you are aware you're thinking. You know you're thinking. There is a certain objectivity to the thinking. And then you suddenly think you're very smart. This must be correct, because I usually don't think like that. Thinking is thinking. It's wrong. The actual mind that can really see Dhamma starts with the 7 factors of enlightenment, which is what I was going to explain next week. The actual mind that can see it starts with the mindfulness. The mindfulness that is so still. It's watching, it's objective, it has no comments, it just is aware. And is aware of being aware. You need the Paññā to know that, lai liao, this is the mind you want. So that in the arising of an understanding of Dhamma, it sees things and it goes, this is rising and falling away. It recognizes it. The recognizing is Paññā. And as it arises and falls away and it keeps seeing it, it goes down to recognizing when it comes up in the arising itself. In the arising itself, there has to be a letting go. It knows it. So the Paññā, look, if you recall, I'm not sure whether it was this class that I said this to. I've said this before. Very sorry, I'm not sure whether this is the class I mentioned it. And it's this. All the reading that you're doing, you need to read the suttas, right? All the readings that you're doing, all the listening to the talks, all the reflection that you're doing, the discussions that you have, all these must be done beforehand. They are part of the learning, digesting, reflection, absorption process. Then they're all stored, okay? It's all anatta, it's all conditioned. The day when you sit down quietly, your mind does hit a state of quiet and it's very detached, it's very clear, you don't even have to force it there, it just stays by itself. Suddenly your 2-year-old kid is very quiet, just sit down there by himself. In that state, right, all the preparation that you had done, everything you have collected will come to fruition. It will pop out by itself. It's kind of internalized in there and in a digested manner give you your kueh lapis, your whatever food that you like. I don't know what you like. So whatever food, it kind of digested, cooked and delivered as a dish nicely. So when you see it, you don't know how it comes about, but it came out. Anicca, you spot it. If your preparation has been done correctly, if you have done all the reading, all the reflection, you understand it correctly, conceptually, in meditation, when the mind is quiet, all the little knowledge will pop up as part of a seeing of the mind. As you see the mind, you start to be able to identify the features of the mind. Being able to identify the features of the mind, being able to do it is Paññā. Paññā is not that quiet state. Okay, the quiet state, the platform, the stage is not Paññā. But the stage, for the stage to be meaningful in a Dhamma experience, needs Paññā. See the difference? You can have a beautiful stage. You practice meditation so well. You're so quiet. Your mindfulness is fantastic. Your stage is ready. Okay? Then all those little actors that pops in and out of your mind, right? The little actors, they are there. They're dancing all over the place. But under normal circumstances, you didn't even see them dancing there. But now that your stage is all quiet, there's nothing there, you begin to spot these actors. And Paññā is the one that tells you that particular one, what's his name? Richard Gere. That particular one, who is he? You know what I mean? Paññā enables you to identify the features correctly. Paññā will tell you this is who, that is what, who is this, what is that. Paññā will tell you, I have to let go. So, hey, everybody, off the stage. Paññā tells you that they all must go off the stage. You also know how to get them off the stage. And so on and so forth. And ultimately, Nibbana can only be realized when the Paññā is there. The fella has to go there. Nibbana! Must be like that. Okay?
So it's the stage of concentration.
Concentration is a state of mind that gets you there when quiet, calm, and so on, with concentration and mindfulness.
Then after that, followed by.
And the Paññā has to be, it's a separate fella. Paññā is a separate fella.
Able to see, observe, something like that.
I'm going to teach you how to develop Paññā. Yes?
Must it only be seen, Paññā can only be seen during meditation or in your
Daily life.
daily life when you're just quiet
Yes.
and then you see it.
Yes.
It hits you, this.
Yes. Paññā, if your meditation is good enough, your mind is also quiet in daily life. For some people, they see more Dhamma experience in daily life. Okay? And it can, look, remember all those stories of the Arahants? How did Chulapantaka see it? He was rubbing his brow with a white cloth. And then he looked at the thing turning black and realized impermanence from there. It's daily life. It wasn't meditating. Then you have Patachara, splashing water trickling away. That's the lifespan of beings, some long, some short, some medium. And that's mortality, that's impermanence, that's anatta. So all the realizations of many of these arahants, many of them, not all, many of them were in daily life. But the mind has to be ready, you see. The mind can only reach that level of quiet if you do meditation very properly. You do it often enough, it becomes a habit. So the mind in the daily life doesn't have a lot of distraction. Then you also have the ones who see it in deep meditation. Only in deep meditation they saw it. And we know of cases where the Buddha would stand guard. Sariputta was going to the room, going to disturb somebody who was meditating. Buddha stood out there. 不要进去, 不要进去. Let me talk. So the two of them started talking while the guy inside there was getting it in meditation. So yes, in meditation and also in daily life. Okay? The question is whether you manage to prepare it enough lah. Prepare your mind enough. Okay, now next sutta, Maha Vedala. Mahavedala Sutta. In the Mahavedala Sutta, you look at number 13. Again, right view, always Paññā. So two conditions for the arising of wisdom, in other words. One being the voice of another, and the other being wise attention. You see that? The voice of another, meaning a teacher, the Dhamma, meaning the suttas that you read, a friend who is a very seasoned practitioner, meaning you derive the knowledge from learning from another. It's an external inject into your system. What I said earlier, all collect, all the knowledge, all the ideas, collect, keep. The second one, wise attention. This is internal. This is yoniso manasikara, internal. Meaning you spend your time meditating, reflecting, looking at your mind, keep collecting data points of rising, falling. You keep collecting all these data points. So the two things that's happening, one is engagement with other people, listening to the Dhamma talk, reading from the Dhamma, having advice from another. And the second one is, are you practicing within? You need the two to combine. And then the Buddha said, why do you need Paññā? Here he said, for direct knowledge. The purpose of Paññā is direct knowledge. Its purpose is full understanding. Its purpose is abandoning. What we have said in the Dhamma roadmap, for those of you who even know what is the Dhamma roadmap, remember what I kept saying? That after you develop your mind, right, you now take this mind that is quiet. What do you look at? Now you look at the mind. And when you look at the mind carefully, you will start to observe certain features about the mind. When you see those features about the mind, it's direct knowledge. When you look at your mind, you observe features. You notice that every sensation that comes up fades away. Everyone that pops up fades away. You realize for yourself impermanence. That's direct knowledge. Taste it, see it. So Paññā must enable you to see it. It's for seeing it. Okay? The purpose of Paññā is direct knowledge. Knowledge in itself, at this point of the practice, knowledge in itself is not the Paññā. Paññā is seeing the thing. Okay? Then comes full understanding. Now that you see it, do you know what you are seeing? Now that you're seeing anicca, do you know what that you are looking at is anicca? Do you know that? Paññā enables you to know that. Paññā enables you to say, this is anicca. I know now anicca what it looks like, what it feels like. I'm seeing full knowledge. Then comes the third part of the Dhamma roadmap. There's a third part. I said, ultimately, seeing is not enough. Can you let go? So Paññā, if you have the Paññā, you will know you have to let go. Its purpose is abandoning.
But how to let go naturally without control?
Later. First see the Dhamma. Anxious. Later I'll explain to you. Later I'll explain to you. So you see that Paññā enables you to recognize, it enables you to understand, it enables you to know what to do next. The three things that Paññā helps you to do. And how do you develop Paññā? Buddha said there are two things you need to be able to do. You have to read, it's an external engagement, that's for the voice of another. In Pali, paratto gohosa, the voice of another. In the old days, they only learn from listening. So that's why gohosa, voice. Today, no lah. Today got internet, got suttas, got YouTube, etc. So that is external. And the second one, yoniso manasikara, that is internal. In your reflection, in your watching, in your meditation, you constantly remember to keep looking for it. Two things, okay? Paying attention to the correct thing. Yoniso manasikara is paying attention to the correct thing. What is the correct thing? Okay, I will tell you. It's in one of the notes later. Then, here Buddha also add some lines down, number 14 at the bottom, about 4 lines from the top, it says, here, friend, right view is assisted by virtue, learning, discussion, serenity, and insight. These are factors of enlightenment. Virtue is actually your sila, which is / virya. Keep the mental space clean. You want to develop wisdom, you have to have purity in the mind. The mind cannot be caught up, the mind cannot be disturbed, the mind has to be quiet. And a quiet mind can come about only if it is pure, it is clean, not caught up, not shaky. Learning, this learning is not analysis, this learning is the one he said earlier, parato guhosa. You learn from another, you listen, you learn Dhamma, you expand your knowledge of Dhamma. It's okay to keep picking up knowledge of Dhamma, okay? Discussion here is always, learning and discussion are together. Basically, the Parata Gohosa, he broke it down to 2 parts. One part is you learn, meaning the part that says you read, the external inject, you read, you listen, and so on. The second part is you discuss. So Buddha brilliantly broke one point from another to 2 parts. The best way to learn is not to passively learn, it's also to proactively learn. Proactively learn means you ask questions. You ask someone, you verify, you clarify, you don't make assumptions, you ask questions to get it sorted out and to learn more. And at the same time, you share your own understanding and you ask somebody, or you can tell, if you have a Dhamma group of friends and each of you start to, if you're developing together, you basically learn from each other. And your own experience, you share with another. So that's how you learn. The other last 2 is the one that is inside. Yoniso Manasikara, right attention. That last 2, serenity and insight is the one. Serenity, the mind must be quiet, must be detached. So you observe a mind that is quiet and detached, and it begins to experience understanding, realization, insight. You have to have a quiet mind, and a quiet mind that allows you to quietly watch what it's doing by itself. And if you had been collecting the correct data, while you are observing that quiet mind, those data that you've been quietly collecting, right? Because you've been talking to people, listening to teachers and so on, those are collected and stored, right? When you are quiet and you're watching the mind, those little knowledge will translate into something for you to see, and you recognize them. If you have never learned, and you have never listened to Dhamma talk, you have never learned about anicca, okay? Now you sit, you've never attended talks, you've never read, you're so hopeless, never read, okay? So you sit quietly, and your mind, because you're so good at concentrating, and you've been doing no good, do good, do no evil, you're such a good person, your mind is quiet, so you can sit, and it goes quiet. And now it's an empty stage there, right? No Dhamma knowledge came up. Because you look, you don't know what's going on there. you see things happening, but you don't know how to say, this, you're not Buddha, ma. You don't know how to look at it and say, this is impermanence, leh. You don't see it, you don't realize it. You know it, but you have no words for it. So you can observe something without knowing what it is. That's why you need to marry the 2. Okay? Now, if you flip to the front page, 2 and 3, where the Buddha say who is wise and who is unwise. Sorry, this is not Buddha, this is Sariputta. Sariputta and Mahakutika, 2 of them having conversation. But it's okay, they are arahants, so it's okay. Who is wise, who is unwise? You look at the word that they use. One does not wisely understand. One does not wisely understand. One who is unwise. What doesn't one wisely understand? And then reply, dukkha, that this is dukkha. Note the word, huh? One does not wisely understand. This is dukkha. One does not wisely understand. This is the origin of dukkha. One does not wisely understand. This is the cessation of dukkha. And one does not understand the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. And then you will say, oh, I know this. That's the Four Noble Truths. You will score A for your exam, but may not score A for realization. May not. Again and again, this thing keep appearing. And we all know these things. Then how is it that we don't realize it? And that is because here, the word is wisely understand. The word is not conceptually absorb, that you know. Understand requires you to see it as it is. So as you look into your mind, you need to see for yourself that sensation of unpleasantness. And there are different types of sensation of unpleasantness. I will be going in part 2 of this entire series. In part 2 is when we go into the different concepts. I will explain what is dukkha to be understood. And there are different types of dukkha. There's the gross one, which is experience of life. There is, at a deeper level, the dukkha of being alive. Existence pure, just by being in existence. There is the experience of dukkha. There is a dukkha experience because you keep seeing change. They're all not the same. But these are all seen in meditation. The impact is deeper. Out of meditation, you can see the gross one. May or may not see the other types. So, knowing dukkha for what it is, knowing the driving force underpinning dukkha. What is driving that sensation of unpleasantness? So we say it's craving. Again, correct, but a bit too simplistic. Our understanding is a bit too simplistic. It's too blunt. It has to understand at a very fine level. Buddha said in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Buddha said, dukkha has to be understood. The origin of dukkha has to be abandoned. The relief from dukkha has to be realized. The path leading to the cessation of dukkha has to be practiced. They are all not the same. Dukkha has to be understood, meaning the unpleasantness. Can you see the different types of unpleasantness? And having seen the different types of unpleasantness, did you even realize what drove them? And now that you have seen what drove them, are you able to let it fade away? So therefore it has to be abandoned, it has to be let go of. And once you let go of, if you are able to let go of the craving, immediately you will feel relief. It's automatic. The moment you can let go, you feel better. I feel better. Okay? That has to be tasted, realized. If you didn't realize that you can feel better, when you can let go, you feel better. You don't realize that, this doesn't make sense. And then it's a methodology of getting there. And the methodology is not just the Eightfold Path. The methodology is essentially that 3 things. having the correct start point, understanding, having the morality practice to keep the mental space clean so that you can do your meditation. These are the 3 key components. You do this again and again and again and again and again, the mind will go clean. It will go quiet. It will go calm. Then you can see what makes it work. When you can see what makes it work, you can see what are the features of it. At that point, it's when can your mind let go. That's the last bit. Okay. In Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 4, Buddha said 4 things lead to the growth of wisdom. Then you say, hey, how come different? Not different, same. Except he has expanded the features of it. The 2 key elements, external, internal, right? The 2 key elements. External is learning from another. Internal is learning from yourself, looking at your mind. So you look at these 4. Association with good person, hearing the good Dhamma, careful attention, practice in accordance with attention. Same, right? 2. Association with good people. This good is wise, wise people. People who are practicing correctly. If you hang around these guys, they will be able to share with you how to practice correctly. They will be able to share with you what you must do, why you must do it, how you must let go, why you must let go. So they will actually be able to share with you Dhamma. Hence, the same thing, learning from another. It's the same thing. Then careful attention and practice in accordance with Dhamma is yourself, inside. Developing the mind correctly. Developing insight properly. So, same. Just elaborated. You want to elaborate some more? Got some more. 8. Book of 8, Wisdom. He talks about 8 causes and conditions that lead to obtaining the wisdom fundamental to spiritual life. He broke it down to 8 parts. Here, a bhikkhu lives in dependence on the teacher or on a certain fellow monk in the position of a teacher, towards whom he has set up a keen sense of moral shame, moral dread, affection, and reverence. Let me explain. Basically, the first point is find a good teacher. But not enough. Find a good teacher with whom you have chemistry. You must have chemistry. That is why it says you have affection, meaning you like the guy, and you have reverence, you respect the chap. The guy may be very good. He may be a first-class meditator and he's a very good practitioner, but you don't have chemistry, leh. Whatever he said doesn't get into you, leh, because no chemistry, ma. So Buddha is wise. He tells you find somebody you like and can respect. Okay? And because you like the guy and because you respect the chap, then you want to do the right thing. You don't want him to turn around and say, hey, 你真是没有 standard. It matters. Now, some of us are very concerned about our face, our public face. So if we are like that, we are vulnerable to people's opinion. Many of us who are more assured, we are not concerned about people's opinion. More assured, you don't really care. Practitioners, after a while, you also don't really care. But towards the person you respect, you still care. Hence the word hiri ottappa, moral shame, moral fear. What does it mean? It means with this individual, you care about what he thinks. So you want to be on your best behavior. This is Buddha saying that with this individual, you can learn from the person. Because his opinion matters. You like him, you respect him, sai liao. So you better make sure that you got the right fella. Here it says. The second one, he went on. As he is living in dependence on the teacher or on a certain fellow monk in the position of a teacher, towards whom he has all these things, He approaches them from time to time and inquires, how is this Bhante? What is the meaning of this Bhante? Those venerable ones then disclose to him what has not been disclosed, clear out what is obscure, and dispel his perplexity about numerous perplexing points. Two parts here. One, this is a proactive relationship. You have someone you truly respect, and you have someone you believe can guide you, then you don't ask questions. This is as good as having Wikipedia which you don't use. So Buddha says, you've got a teacher that you can respect and you want to learn from, for heaven's sake, make use of it. Point one. Point two, the teacher's job is to be able to clear up, meaning to say, clarify his perplexity, his confusion, his doubt, the questions that he has. So this is describing an individual who's a practitioner but quite lost, or maybe not so lost, but still learning, okay? Still learning, and therefore he needs guidance. So Buddha said, you have problems, you have questions, go ask. And one way for you to know that your teacher is helpful is if he can solve your perplexity. If your teacher is unable to make you understand better, make you feel better, then problem lah. Either you are really not, the chemistry not right, or maybe he doesn't understand. Okay, so you have to exercise some wisdom along the way. 3, having heard that Dhamma, he resorts to 2 withdrawal. Withdrawal in the body and withdrawal in the mind. This means being introspective. Now you start looking at your mind. The first 2 parts deals with another. This one deals with yourself. Yoniso Manasikara comes in here. The practice is about understanding the nature of the mind. So you have to withdraw inwards to look at your mind and body.
But at this moment, the Paññā is not developed.
It's always there. It's developing. Okay, it's developing. Don't worry. Paññā is not okay. Paññā is not like that. Paññā is not like this. Suddenly it appears. It's like practice, it suddenly appears. No, Paññā is like making cake. You put the correct condition, you put it into the oven, it starts to rise. It's not cooked yet, but there's a process of rising, right? Paññā's like that. Okay?
Yeah, but see, withdrawing body, withdrawing mind, it's not entirely no self, right?
No, it's not.
Withdraw what?
No, it means go inwards and look at your mind. It means looking at your mind and looking at your form. It's being introspective. Whereas the instinct, because all this while is external. Remember, look at your teacher, go ask him the question, it's external. This one is internal. You look, after you learn, you must go in and look at your mind and form. Okay? And understand this. He's virtuous, 4 and 5. He's virtuous, he dwells restrained by the patimokkha, possessed of good conduct and resort, seeing danger in minute faults. Having undertaken the training rules, he trains in them. Let me explain. You dwell restrained by the patimokkha means I know the rules, I exercise control over my own instincts. I try to control and practice according to the rules. So something external acting as a check on your instincts. But the second one says possess of good conduct and resort. As you practice, it must become second nature. Second nature. When you say, I need to be restrained by my precepts, it means it's not second nature. Your precepts control you. The day that your precept becomes a part of your life, a part of you, you possess of the precepts. You're no longer exercising control. Precept doesn't have control. Precept is a part of you. And seeing the danger in minute faults, having the wisdom to know for yourself that you should not cave into your instincts. So now you're practicing well, right? Then occasionally there will be temptations. Occasionally, I think must tell a bit of white lie lah. Occasionally, right? Here, you don't do it because you realize you shouldn't. So it gets deeper and deeper, you see. First you restrain, then you have it, then you understand why you have it, you never break it. Okay? And having undertaken the training rules, he trains in them. Meaning to say, you choose it. Having undertaken is, I choose to embrace it. I choose to say the precepts. I choose to have it. Then I must do it, lor. That's what it means, lah. Your mind, you decide you want to do something, then you try to hold on to it. And at some point, it becomes a way of life. With understanding, you lead this way of life. Okay, this is one segment. This is about morality. The next one, number 4, you look at number 6. Number 4 and number 6 are actually quite similar. Number 6, he aroused energy for abandoning unwholesome qualities and acquiring wholesome qualities, strong, firm in exertion, not casting off duty, etc., etc. This is viriya. So you first, it's actually, these are sequential. All these are sequential. So correctly speaking, I should follow the sequence. You start off looking for a teacher. You found one you have chemistry with. You think you can learn from this guy because you like him, you respect him. And with him, you try to be on your best behavior. You see that? So because you found someone like that, you go and consult him, you go learn from him. You picked him one, and then he doesn't mind you, so you go and learn from him. Okay? And then once you have started learning from him, you begin to realize that what is it you have to do? What is it that you have to do to progress? And one of the things that you have to do to progress is, number 3 is, now that you have heard and learned, then you say, oh, okay, about this Dhamma is about looking inwards. You realize that the Dhamma is about looking inwards. So you have learned, and now you're starting to look inwards. Then you realize that the practice requires you to observe morality because you need concentration. As you look inwards, you realize your concentration is not there, not good enough. You need the concentration. So therefore, you need to practice morality. And once you start practicing morality correctly, it's now a way of life, possessed of it, it's a way of life, you begin to be able to meditate. He has learned much. You listen to this, number 5. He has learned much. He remembers what he has learned. He accumulates what he has learned. Such teaching as these he has learned of, retained in mind, recited verbally, mentally investigated, penetrated well by view. This is Sati, Paññā, Dhamma, Vichaya, all add together. Sati, because you start observing, looking at the mind, observing, looking at the mind. You reflect on what you have learned. You keep reflecting on what you have learned. It is not just words that you forget. You listen, you learn a lot, you reflect, you sit. All this, retained in mind, recited verbally, mentally investigated, penetrated well by view. All these possible only if the meditation starts to come in. The meditation starts to come in. With the meditation, constantly keeping your mental space clean to help with the meditation. They are feeding each other. You know all these things. I've done it many times already. You need to keep the mental space clean. Therefore, number 6, the viriya part comes in. The 4, 5, and 6, practice. They are all practices. Keep your mental space clean so that you can meditate. With meditation, possible to start seeing Dhamma as it applies in daily life and in meditation. Didn't meditate? didn't keep your mental space clean, forget about seeing Dhamma in daily life. Okay? Then you go on, 7. So much so, 7, so much so that he's no longer interested in jabber. This guy is developing already. In 7, it says, in the midst of the Sangha, does not engage in rambling, pointless talk. Either he speaks Dhamma, or he requests someone to do it, or he just keeps quiet. Basically, what happened at 7 is that the mind of this individual is starting to become very quiet. And when it becomes very quiet, and he observes the energy of craving, he starts to observe it very closely, right? He realizes that every time he talks, and he gets all caught up with conversation, the mind gets very shaky. Because he's looking inwards, he sees his mind. He sees them as very shaky. In all kinds of conversation, in all kinds of getting involved in activities, the mind gets shaky. If he's earnest about realizing Nibbana, he has to start to look inwards and stay inwards. And the last one, which is the very important, daily, he dwells, contemplating, arising, vanishing in the 5 aggregates subject to craving. Dwells is living soul. Daily life. Daily life, you observe your mind and you see arising of a physical sensation. Physical sensation fades away. Arising of a mental sensation, craving, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor not pleasant, fades away. Arising of a thought, a state of awareness, consciousness, ability to name something. All this arises and falls away, arises and falls away. So basically what happened at 8 is that the person starts to observe Dhamma in his mind, daily life. So to practice wisdom, essentially what it means is, apart from the meditation, in your daily life, as well as in your meditation, reflect on Dhamma. Reflect, if you can spot it. In other words, look at that stage. That stage. Get the mind quiet enough that the stage becomes obvious. You know what I mean when I say stage, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who have no idea what I'm saying about the stage? Not the Shakespearean stage. Not Shakespeare's stage, the mind. So you have the mind, right? You have the mind, the mental stage, which is quiet, okay? You keep having your meditation so that the mental stage stays relatively quiet. That in daily life, it is possible for you to slip into a quiet, mindful, watchful state. It arises spontaneously, and you must catch it, because it can come and go. It arises spontaneously. Maybe when you're cutting fruits, it arises. Maybe when you are bowing before the Buddha, it arises. Maybe when you are standing in the lift waiting for the door to open, it arises. It can. Anytime, it can pop up. Mind suddenly becomes clear, you are aware of the moment. When you're aware of that moment, many a times people say, ew, what is this? Stop playing a handphone. Finish, moment's gone over. A practitioner, the moment arises, quiet, watch the mind, watch awareness. Doesn't matter if no knowledge comes out. It means you didn't meditate enough, you didn't listen enough, you didn't pay attention. So here he has, in the moment when it comes quiet, he has got something to look at. He looks at arising and falling away. Arising and falling away of the 5 aggregates of craving. The 5 aggregates of craving. Part 2, we'll go into that. Then comes the part which everybody gets excited. How come it's not mentioned? Mindfulness directed to the body. Mindfulness directed to the body. the whole thing, Buddha talks about mindfulness of the physical form. When the mind is watching physical form, just using the body as an object of meditation, by looking at, basically in daily life, this is a practice, this is for sati practice, also some form of samadhi practice. But as you observe the nature of the body, you are able to do all these things. Do I have to read it for you? Example. Okay? Example. By observing, by developing and cultivating a mindfulness directed to the body, okay? By looking at that, it can lead you to a strong sense of urgency. Do the great good, leads to great security from bondage, leads to mindfulness and clear comprehension, leads to the attainment of knowledge and vision, leads to a pleasant dwelling in this very life, leads to realization of the fruit of knowledge and liberation. By cultivating mindfulness of the body, your mind can go all the way to Nibbana. That's what it means. But it follows a certain step. The first thing it will see right at the start point is you suddenly realize that, why am I taking my own sweet time? The more you understand Dhamma, right? The more you read Dhamma, the more you attend this kind of classes, the more you talk to like-minded friends, the more you feel the sense of, I want to see Dhamma. I want to see it. That sense of urgency will start to grow. Not sure enough not to see it. And then the more you reflect about your form, you realize that this form is breaking apart. It will die. It will die, and you really don't know what's the next form that will come about. You think for sure that it will come about with a better form? We don't know, right? We can't be sure. So when you start to reflect on that, you become more aware of mortality, you will then feel the sense of urgency. So the urgency comes about either because you feel mortality, or people are talking about it, you're really very curious, or your wisdom is starting to grow, mundane wisdom is starting to grow, and you're beginning to see again and again, Buddha says, again and again you buried somebody, again and again your bones got buried, again and again, many lives, again and again you move, again and again you come. So as your wisdom grows, you say, enough. So the urgency starts. When it is urgent, it's a good thing, because it means you are desirous of practice. That's why leads to a good thing. You want to practice. And because you want to practice, it is protecting you against the kind of fetters. Don't look at the word bondage. It's fetters that hold you to life and to dukkha. When you start to practice, you learn to let go, right? You learn to forgive, right? You learn to develop your wisdom, right? All these will start to allow you to pull away the little tentacles and binds that hold you to existence and to hold you to dukkha. Existence, life, many parts of it very dukkha. But as you learn to let go, the sense of dukkha should start to fade a little by little. So the tentacles that hold you will start to fade little by little. And as you start to practice, because this will keep you going, the more you practice, the more you start to understand. You practice correctly, you will start to see. You start to understand more and more. Hence this part about mindfulness and clarity in understanding. Not yet, all this is not stream entering yet. This is just progress, okay? When there is mindfulness, when there is awareness, when there's good, correct understanding of Dhamma, it is possible for you to attain vision, knowledge and vision. Meaning, when you are sitting in your meditation, you see for yourself the nature of the mind, real knowledge, real true knowledge. Knowledge, this is jnana dasana. Jnana's knowledge, dasana vision. So as you sit, you realize that all these ups and down, up and down, up and down is anicca, impermanence. Knowledge of anicca, see for yourself anicca.
What is vision?
Vision is see for yourself. You will see for yourself. Okay? Look at this beautiful word, leads to a pleasant dwelling in this life. Every time you see Dhamma, right? Every time you see Dhamma, there is a joy. And every step, every progress that you make in the Dhamma, the joy deepens. It's Dhamma joy, it will deepen. And as because this understanding comes with conduct, because this is understanding, the realization understanding, it comes with conduct, meaning to say, it is not a case where I see dukkha, I see letting go. No, it's that you are really letting it go. You're letting it be. You're slowly you build it into a habit in life. Because it's built into a habit in life, proportionately, right? We used to say, the more craving you have, the more dukkha you have. The less craving you have, proportionately less dukkha. In this very life, from a point-to-point basis, you start to feel better already. You start to feel better. So this pleasant dwelling, if you're on the right track, if you're on the right bus, even if your Paññā hasn't taken over the wheels, right, you will still feel better. The last bit that says, leads to the realization of fruit knowledge, of knowledge and liberation. This is the street entry we're talking about. And it goes step by step. It's when you start to experience letting go properly and you see how it's done, you have to see how it's done. So the mind knows how to turn, know how to let go properly. Then that's when you realize the fruit and you realize the path. There is no such thing as realizing something without knowing how you get there. What, you blindfold? Blindfolded, you walk all the way there. There's no such thing. Buddha has always said, path and fruit, path and fruit. You have to see how it's done, you know how it's done, then you walk to the end and have it done and taste it. Okay? So this is one of it. There are many more. They are all of them. They're all. The only one which I will point out to you that is directly relevant to wisdom is right at the end. It's basically different types of wisdom. How wisdom feels like not different types. It's how wisdom feels like. Buddha must have gotten very carried away telling people how wisdom feels like. It's deep. It grows, it expands, it spans. You look at it, it's very cute. He talks about the growth, the expansion, the greatness, the diversity, the vastness, the depth. He goes on and on. This is how wisdom feels like when you have it, right? When you're looking at the stage and your wisdom is there, you start to recognize. Then what happens is you will recognize that wisdom. The knowing mind that knows what's going on. The mind that knows what's going on and understand it with knowledge. That mind, that wisdom, you recognize it as a mental state and you recognize it as a mental state and as the knowledge in itself. So you need to know the mind as the mind with wisdom. It's there. And then in that mind, you start to be able to identify all the little factors, all the Dhamma concepts. Wisdom tells you what they are. So first you know wisdom is there. And then you know that this is the wisdom that's talking, it's guiding you to all the concepts. And then the wisdom must say, okay, now that I've identified all the concepts, what did Buddha say? Buddha say must let go. Okay, how do you let go? Wisdom must talk to itself. Seriously, they talk to itself, okay? So we said, okay, how do you let go? Buddha say must let go. Then arises the knowledge. This is how you let go, wisdom says. And then there is the attempt to let go, which is how you do it, you navigate. It's also wisdom saying it has to be done like that. It has to be done like that. Okay? And then when it is done correctly, the wisdom says, 丢了, jackpot. This is correct, this is correct. It's like that. It's anatta. Okay, it does its own merry thing. But to get to that state and make sure that it's correct, you have to read the suttas. You have to go and engage in conversations with the practitioner monks or sangha, whatever. All this knowledge has to be gathered so that it's all stored here, such that when the mind is quiet enough, when wisdom arises is the correct one that goes and pull out the correct book. So wisdom knows which book to pull out, which page to look at, what path to follow, what it should be doing, how it should understand what's going on. That's wisdom. Have I lost everybody?
Sweet.
Question?
Hey, but was it the Sangha is not nothing to do with monk, right? Can be the Sangha the
Yes. Buddha was teaching monks. All these methods in Buddha's time, right, he taught monks because this thing needs full-time training. So he was actually teaching the monks to do it. But when you use the word Sangha, in Buddha's mind, the Sangha is the true practitioner as well as the one who has realized. In the Buddha's mind. That's why your chanting, right? Supatipanno Bhagavato Savakasanho, that part, there's one part that says, Ya idang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa yugana. And that phrase says there are four pairs of individual, right? 8 types of people. So why 4 pairs and why 8 types? You have the stream enterer who has seen the path, and then you have the stream enterer who has realized the fruit. You have the once returner who has seen the path, and then the once returner who has realized the fruit. The never returner who has seen the path, and the never returner who has realized the fruit, and finally the arahant who has seen the path and then realized the fruit. 8 individual, different times. The mind grows differently. Okay? So that's Paññā. Does it even make sense?